You ever notice how you're sitting in a house with central heat, wrapped in 3 blankets, wearing 2 pairs of fuzzy socks, and you're still cold? Like somehow your bones know it's January, and they've just given up. Now hit pause. Imagine trying to explain your shivering to a Lakota elder from the year 1875 who just woke up from a solid 8 hours of sleep in a buffalo hide teepee in the middle of a snowstorm with no electricity, no down jacket, and definitely no hot chocolate. And he's fine. Meanwhile, you're one draft away from filing a complaint with your landlord. So here's the question. How the heck did they do it? How did Native Americans living in the Wild West not only survive winters, but actually sleep through them, in teepees, on the ground, with actual snowstorms outside? Let's unpack the tools, techniques, and mindset that kept them warm in conditions that would have turned you into a very cold corpse. Location. Before the teepee went up, before the fire was lit, before the first buffalo robe hit the floor, there was one crucial question. Where's the best place to put this thing? In the American West, winter wasn't just cold, it was violent. Snowdrifts taller than a horse, winds that howled for days, temperatures that dropped faster than whiskey at a poker table. So Native families didn't guess. They didn't eyeball it. They chose their camp locations with the precision of military engineers and the instincts of seasoned survivalists. Need shelter from wind? Pitch near a tree line or a low ridge? Want the morning sun? Face the teepee entrance east. Worried about flooding? Find a slight rise, high enough to drain meltwater, low enough to avoid wind exposure. They read the terrain like a living map, where the deer bedded down, where snow collected, how shadows fell in late afternoon. It wasn't just about comfort, it was about survival geometry. The teepee. It wasn't a tent, it was a portable winter fortress. If the word tent makes you think of that crumpled piece of nylon from your last failed camping trip, stop. The Plains teepee was not that. It wasn't a leaky dome from a box store. It wasn't a pop-up nightmare that collapses in light wind. And it definitely wasn't designed for summer music festivals. It was designed for survival. We're talking sub-zero nights, high winds, blizzards that buried wagons. And yet, people lived comfortably through all of it. The teepee wasn't just shelter. It was technology, built by people who understood that if you get the structure wrong, winter doesn't forgive. It was a fully engineered survival pod built for mobility, durability, and thermoregulation. Before anyone invented those words, or had a reason to explain them. And it wasn't a fluke. It was the result of hundreds of years of experimentation, observation, and tweaking until it worked perfectly. Let's break it down. The frame was made from long, flexible lodge poles, usually 12 to 20 of them, lashed together at the top and spread into a perfect cone. Over that skeleton, they draped heavy buffalo hides. Not thin scraps, not patchy bits. We're talking thick, dense, overlapping hides that did 2 magical things. They blocked wind, and they breathed. Yes, these people figured out breathable insulation centuries before Patagonia even existed, and theirs didn't tear when you looked at it wrong. And the shape, that tall, graceful cone, wasn't just for looks. It did something brilliant. It pulled smoke up and out through a vent at the top, while pushing warm air back down along the walls. Which meant if you lit a fire in the center, the heat stayed with you, and the smoke politely left. The interior stayed warm, the airflow stayed clean, the people stayed alive. All in a design that didn't require nails, screws, or blueprints. Meanwhile, settlers often built square cabins. Square, the shape that traps cold in corners, keeps smoke hanging in the rafters, and laughs at your attempt to get warm evenly. Native families, on the other hand, were sleeping inside rotating climate systems wrapped in animal skin. Lightweight, aerodynamic, portable, and fully functional in deep winter. And they didn't just function, they outperformed most settler housing by every metric that mattered. Heat retention, smoke control, portability, speed of setup. You could tear one down, pack it on a horse, and rebuild it before sunset. Heating 101. Let's talk fire. Yes, they had it inside the teepee. No, it wasn't chaos. And no, they didn't all suffocate. Here's how it worked. A small fire pit, just enough flame to warm the space, not incinerate it, sat right in the center. It wasn't for show, and it wasn't for giant flames. It was practical, measured, built to heat people, not burn things down. A low, steady burn, controlled and quiet. The kind of fire that knew its job and did it well. The smoke? It didn't swirl around, choking everyone out. It rose upward naturally and escaped through a vent at the top of the teepee. That vent was controlled by smoke flaps. 2 hide panels that could be opened, closed, or angled, depending on the wind. They weren't decorative. They were manual air management tools, crafted from generations of trial and correction. These flaps were adjusted several times a day if needed. Wind shifted? Flaps shifted. Snow came in sideways? Flaps adjusted again. It wasn't passive. It was active temperature control, done with ropes and reflexes. This wasn't guesswork. Families knew exactly how to work those flaps for maximum airflow and minimum smoke. It was a daily skill, passed down, practiced, perfected. Because messing it up meant a smoky night and a lot of coughing. Because of the teepee's cone shape, heat didn't just rise and disappear. It moved intelligently. Warm air traveled up, hit the sloped interior, and flowed gently back down along the walls, like a thermal blanket, wrapping the space from the inside, always in motion, always working. The result? The living zone near the floor, the place where people sat, cooked, talked, and slept, could be 20 to 30 degrees warmer than outside, even in the middle of a snowstorm. That's without insulation, without vents, without chimneys. Just hide, fire, geometry, and know-how. No smoke buildup, no wasted heat, no fancy tech, no batteries, buttons, or backup plans. Just a simple, elegant system that worked when it mattered most. Ground game pro tip. It's not just what's above you that keeps you warm. It's what's beneath you. The fastest way to lose body heat? Sleeping directly on frozen ground. The earth will pull warmth out of your body like it's got a personal vendetta. Which is why native people didn't do that, ever. They built layers. Think of it like a sandwich of warmth. First, a thick base of pine boughs, dry grass, or woven mats. Then layered buffalo hides, thick and soft. Then fur blankets, elk, rabbit, or deer. Then you, fully wrapped, face barely peeking out. This wasn't camping. It was insulation by instinct. They weren't lying on dirt. They were sleeping on a bed made of nature's best thermal materials, stacked in just the right way to trap body heat and block ground moisture. No air mattresses, no foil blankets, just practical engineering shaped by generations of experience. In some setups, they even raised the sleeping surface slightly, just enough to break contact with the cold earth. Not high enough to roll off, but high enough to make a difference when the temperature dropped to bitter. It was simple, smart, warm. So, while the wind howled outside and frost rimmed the entrance flap, families inside were rolling over in comfort, vaguely aware that yes, winter was still happening, but not in here. Fur technology. Modern outdoor gear is great. Gore-Tex, synthetic insulation, thermal underwear, all good stuff. Now imagine all of that, but made from actual buffalo. Fur, fat, hide, the whole package. Buffalo hides were the winter MVP. Thick, durable, warm even when wet, and big enough to roll yourself in like a human enchilada. These things weren't just blankets. They were mobile winter armor. People didn't just sleep under the hides, they slept inside them, full wrap, cocoon style, face poking out, maybe a little nose exposed for breathing. Otherwise, just fur, hide, and dreams of warmer weather, and silence. Because if you got cold in the middle of the night, that was on you. And they layered. 1 buffalo robe? Great. 2? Better. 3? Now you're living. Add a dog or 2 under there, and you basically had central heating. They also used robes made of elk, deer, even rabbit fur. Anything that had once run fast and now ran warm. Some families even sewed pieces together into custom-sized wraps, shaped to sleep in or wear during the day. And because these hides were breathable, they prevented the kind of damp buildup that modern synthetic bags can trap, a huge advantage when nights got long and icy, warmth without sweat, protection without plastic. So no, they didn't need heated blankets. They had buffalo, which, let's be honest, probably smelled way cooler anyway. Body heat logistics. Body heat is free and effective, which is why native families didn't sleep like strangers at a sleepover. They huddled. Picture a tipi on a cold night. In the center, the fire glows low. Around it, people sleep close. Parents, kids, sometimes even dogs, all curled up together, limbs tangled, warmth shared. It wasn't awkward. It wasn't optional. It was efficient. You ever share a bed with 3 siblings and a goat? They did. And probably the goat was the warmest one. Also, the loudest. Because the more warm bodies in one place, the slower everyone cools down. It's physics, or love, or both. And yes, someone's foot probably ended up on someone else's face. Someone snored. Someone stole the good robe. Didn't matter. It kept you alive. In some families, sleeping arrangements were passed down like recipes. Who sleeps where? Which side gets the dog? Where the baby goes? How to wrap yourself without cutting off circulation. It was all part of the system. A warm, furry, slightly chaotic system, but a system nonetheless. Even infants knew the drill. Wrapped tight, sandwiched between warmth, breathing in the slow rhythm of a family that understood winter wasn't something to face alone. And while it might not be your idea of comfort today, it worked. People stayed warm, even in the dead of a blizzard, because they turned their entire household into one big, breathing, living furnace. Modern version? A sleeping bag rated to minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Back then, 6 humans, 2 dogs, and a buffalo robe. Same result, less plastic, more fur. The hot rock trick. You know that feeling when your electric blanket shuts off at 3 a.m. and suddenly your legs are auditioning for a documentary about frostbite? Yeah, that didn't happen in a teepee, because they had rocks, not just any rocks, river rocks, the smooth, dense kind that held heat for hours like prehistoric batteries. Native families would toss them into the fire in the evening, let them soak up the heat, then carefully wrap them in cloth, bark, or hide, whatever was handy and wouldn't catch fire, and then slide them under bedding, next to feet, against the belly, down by the spine, sometimes even tucked near the ribs. Instant warmth, lasting comfort. It was the original space heater, except silent, and reusable, and didn't require plugging in or swearing at when it stopped working halfway through the night. Some families even placed the hot stones around the perimeter of the tipi floor, creating a low, steady heat barrier that kept cold air from creeping in across the ground like a bored ghost. Others packed them into hide pouches and tucked them inside their clothing during travel. Warm hands, warm core, less complaining. Fewer frostbitten fingers. The technique varied by region, but the principle was the same. Store heat, hold it close, release it slow. No sparks, no smoke, just radiant, quiet survival that worked even on the worst nights. Sometimes people would reheat the same stones in the morning for breakfast prep or daytime warmth. They weren't just tools, they were part of the routine, part of the rhythm, familiar, reliable, trusted. This wasn't a campfire gimmick. This was thermal strategy, perfected over generations. So no, they didn't have smart thermostats. They had smarter rocks. Wind defense. Let's talk about wind. The kind that doesn't just rattle windows. It goes under walls, up your back, and into your soul. On the prairie, wind is relentless. No trees, no cover, just a wall of air with an attitude. And when it teamed up with snow, things got personal. It didn't knock politely. It invited itself in, unzipped your robe, asked what you were hiding under there, and then made itself comfortable. But native people knew how to shut it down. First line of defense? Snow walls. After pitching the teepee, families would pile snow around the base, forming a frozen ring of protection. Not decorative, not aesthetic, just cold, hard, functional ice armor. A thermal seal forged from weather itself. Cold air couldn't sneak underneath. Warmth stayed in. Wind stayed out. Next, hide skirts. Long strips of buffalo hide tied around the bottom edge of the teepee, like a thick leather fringe that hugged the ground and blocked out the crawlspace draft from hell. Stylish? Possibly. Strategic? Absolutely. And sometimes beautifully patterned, because function and beauty were never mutually exclusive. Some families went even further. They adjusted the entire orientation of the teepee to face away from prevailing winds. Yes, rotated the whole house, base, frame, hide, and all. Because when the weather shifts, you don't sit there and hope for mercy. You move with it. You turn your home like a compass needle and say, "Not today." In winter, survival was a system of layers, angles, barriers, and instincts. And wind was part of the equation, not an enemy, just another force of nature to design around, to predict, to block, to outwit. This wasn't camping. This was environmental warfare, and they weren't just enduring it, they were winning. The mindset. Here's the part no one talks about. It wasn't just the tools. It was the attitude. Settlers saw winter as something to be conquered. Native communities saw it as something to prepare for, adapt to, and respect. You don't wait for the storm to hit and then panic. You observe the signs, watch the sky, study the wind, listen to the trees, learn from the animals. You adjust your camp, your clothes, your sleep, your fire, your rhythm. You don't fight the season, you live with it. Kids grew up learning this stuff. It wasn't a one-time lecture, it was a way of life. They didn't fear snow, they understood it. They knew how to walk on it, sleep in it, hunt through it, move through it. They knew which woods stayed dry, which hides were warmest, how to keep smoke from choking you at night, and when to pack up and move 2 miles south because the wind changed. That's not instinct, that's education wrapped in tradition. And it didn't come from books, it came from grandmothers, uncles, and elders who had lived through 50 winters, seen it all, and weren't about to let you freeze just because you thought you were tough. They didn't have weather apps. They were the weather app, and if they told you a storm was coming, you didn't argue. You grabbed your gear and started moving. Let's be honest, you, right now, with your insulated jacket, fuzzy socks, and high-end sleeping bag rated for temperatures you'll never actually camp in. You'd last maybe 4 hours in a teepee during a real 1870s winter. No phone, no heated mattress, no fleece hoodie with thumb holes, just you, the cold, a fire you have to build yourself, and a buffalo robe that still smells like buffalo. You wouldn't make it till sunrise. But they did, every night, for decades. While soldiers in Fort Laramie wrapped themselves in 6 blankets and still woke up sneezing. Native families were sleeping soundly inside a system that worked because it had to. Tipis weren't just homes. They were insulated, ventilated, transportable microclimates, optimized over centuries, refined by survival, and backed by a worldview that said, nature is the boss, work with it. So the next time you think your bedroom feels a little cold, remember this. 150 years ago, someone was sleeping on pine boughs under a buffalo robe, with snow piled against the walls, and calling it cozy.